One piece of advice: if you're looking to ask your boss for a raise, it's best not to sneak up on them and jump them in the corridor. It won't work.
Still mad about that?
I said I was sorry! However, as we learned a while back on this channel, there are some video game bosses where sneaking up behind them is the only viable option. And turns out there are plenty more bosses who never learn to look over their shoulder. Get those crouching knees ready as we look at 7 bosses you snuck up behind like a total hero. The Return.
Sadly, with an aging population and tough economic climate, more and more elderly people are having to stay in the workforce to support themselves. Take for example this man who is having to work as an elite sniper in a legendary super soldier team despite being over 100 years old. For shame. This is the end from Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, one of the members of the Cobra unit and a significant boss that you'll need to kill if you're to progress in the game.
I have to thank you for waking me. If you hadn't shown up, my sleep would have been eternal.
This being a Hideo Kojima game, it's pretty open as to how you want to kill the end. If you're the sneaky and/or lazy type, then it's pretty well documented that you can both snipe him early on in the game while he's being wheeled out in his chair.
Control here. We're being attacked. Unknown. Going into hot.
Or patiently wait for him to die of old age.
Maybe it was from old age.
You mean he kicked the bucket in the middle of a battle?
Maybe.
Well, Snake, the victory is yours.
However, for those who like to do their battles fair and square, the noble option is to engage the end in a sniper's duel, matching him skill for skill as a mark of respect from one soldier to another.
Call yourself a son of the boss.
Or, and hear me out, even better third option, pretend you're going to do that and then just sneak up on him and beat his ass. Because even though the end is a legendary sniper, Naked Snake is a legendary stealth guy, and as such you can sneak up on the geriatric gunman and shoot him in the back like a hero.
Fight like a man.
I think we've established that's not going to happen. It takes a while because every time you get a few good shots off, the end will throw a flash grenade and move to a different part of the map, but it's pretty straightforward to just repeat the process, sneak up behind him and shoot some back. Until it's the end for the end, and he can finally die with dignity.
The time has come for a younger generation to rise.
Except for the bit where his false teeth pop out and then he explodes. Keeping us guessing till the last. What a legend.
With most four-legged creatures, it's generally advised to approach them from the front and let them approach you. However, if you do this with Ko-omote in Ghostwire Tokyo, you are going to have a bad time. Ko-omote is the name of the traditional no mask worn by this four-legged creature. Translated, it means small mask, but in this fight, it's anything but small and covered in way too many teeth and is traditional for this art form. Also, the performers aren't usually big, angry-looking cat, dog, fox things with claws. In this case, Ko-omote is technically still a human, specifically the reanimated version of Erika, daughter of Big Bad Hanya. And she's taken your ghost fighting powers from you by swallowing up your non-corporeal cop pal, KK. Fortunately, while she may have extra claws and teeth in this form, her peripheral vision is worse than that of any first-person game protagonist. And the weak points on her new, more animalistic form are her 3 helpfully glowing tails, far from her gaze. So, of course, it's up to you to shuffle up behind this huge creature and pluck them from her one by one. And I thought plucking my eyebrows was painful. Ow! As such, you spend a lot of this fight clambering through tunnels and vents in the hope that she'll lose sight of you for long enough that you can wrench another appendage from her like you're a toddler who doesn't quite yet understand how to be gentle with the family cat. And while you'd imagine most people, or cat, dog, fox things, would learn after the second attack to maybe keep an eye out behind them, Ko-omote keeps her eyes facing front, allowing you to yank off her final tail. Pro tip, don't do that with actual dogs, cats or foxes, because they'll get real mad at you. As will I.
This ends here! We are just getting started!
The Splinter Cell series has a lot to teach us about how to be a lethal super spy. For example, owning a pair of night vision goggles? Super important.
Voila! With these babies, you can see in the dark, you can see through walls, you name it.
Being able to do the splits? Essential.
Who put the lights out?
And of course, a general misunderstanding of the word interrogate is always useful. That said, at the start of your boss fight with main bad guy Majid Sadiq at the end of Splinter Cell Blacklist, Sam Fisher seems to have forgotten one of the most obvious rules of being a lethal super spy, which is to make sure you bring some bullets to put in your gun. Finding himself temporarily embarrassed as to the amount of munitions currently in his possession, Sam must resort to old-fashioned Splinter Cell techniques, by which we mean it's time to go sneaking, baby! This boss fight takes place in an open industrial area that is intermittently lit with floodlights. Using cover and the shadows to your advantage, the way to get to Sadiq so you can actually harm him is to sneak around out of his line of sight, flanking him and finally getting into a position where you can attack him from behind with Sam Fisher's legendary CQC skills. That he also seems to have forgotten to bring with him. Still, at least we showed we're the best at sneaking up on people. At least we've got that going for— oh, come on! Sam does eventually get the upper hand on Sadiq, but honestly, it's a close run thing for a while there. Back to spy school for you, Sam.
Out of all the boss types in Soulsborne games, one of the most intimidating is Big F***off Dragon. And the biggest and f***offiest of the lot is the Ancient Wyvern in Dark Souls 3. There are bosses such as the Gaping Dragon in Dark Souls 1 and Calamite in the Artorias of the Abyss DLC that can be fought head-on in large arenas in fairly straightforward boss fights. I said straightforward, not easy. But when you try to fight the Ancient Wyvern on Archdragon Peak, you'll soon discover that beating this dragon is no mean feat, in part because the Ancient Wyvern has two mean feet, constantly trying to stomp you to death. This fight can be fought on this tiny strip of stone flooring and stairs, but thanks to this dragon's gargantuan size, it's difficult to avoid its giant maw or its wide fiery attacks. I like this game. Dark Souls games are fun. I am having fun. Now, before you go to the nearest bonfire and just start looking into it, questioning every life choice you've ever made that led you to this moment, know that you also have another option you can choose here. It's one that many a Dark Souls 3 player has grabbed with both hands and dual-wielded more gleefully than a Zweihander. If you haven't guessed already by the title of this video, it's sneaking up on the dragon and killing it in one shot. And none of that get good nonsense. If you got this far in Dark Souls 3, you're allowed one easy boss. Although saying it's easy is a bit misleading. You have to niftily cheese it through the Ancient Wyvern's legs and climb a path around the Great Big Brute, fighting gangs of snake-headed arseholes as you go who are all trying to ruin your day. Finally make it past them and you'll end up on some scaffolding above the ancient Wyvern, who by now is so pissed off that it's shooting its fire attack in all directions like a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man armed with a flamethrower. But if you get yourself onto the stone ledge just above its head, when it's next taking a breather on the wild head waving, you can leap off with a downwards attack and slay the beast in one fell swoop. Yeah, I get good. Got it good. You know what I mean.
Coming for you. Die!
In our last list on this subject, we looked at the fight you have as Ellie against cannibal weirdo David in The Last of Us Part 1.
I see you. There you are, Ellie.
But the tables are turned in The Last of Us Part 2 after you step into the shoes of the absolutely hench Abby and find Ellie in her Seattle hideout, the Pinnacle Theatre.
Stay here. Watch the exits, don't let her leave.
Yeah, most theatres won't let you back in if you leave the auditorium during the performance, so hold that bladder till the interval, Ellie. However, it'll be hard for you to hold your bladder, as you've now entered one of the most pant-wettingly terrifying boss fights in the game, thanks in no small part to you knowing exactly how sneaky and deadly Ellie can be, having played as her for hours earlier in the game. With Ellie disarming you right at the start of the fight and nabbing your handgun for herself, the only way you can deal with her is by sneaking up from behind like she's scary Cannibal David. Oh god, did Ellie get a taste for it too? Fortunately not, but unfortunately, as the fight goes on, Ellie decides she needs to dig out even more powerful weaponry, like her bow and shotgun, and if you try to disarm her face on, she'll deface you. Literally deface, as in no face left. And ranged weapons aren't the only thing to worry about in this fight, as eventually Ellie goes for stealthier ways to deal with you. Let's just say you'll curse the day you unlocked how to make traps as Ellie when you get too close to them as Abby. What's even worse is when you use your special listen mode to look through walls and see Ellie scurrying around planting said traps, making you wonder to yourself, wait, did I look like that much of a murderous weirdo to every person who saw me scurrying around Seattle?
What the hell is she doing?
As scary as they are, you can at least use Ellie's traps against her. Simply keep out of sight and throw a bottle at them. This will make her head straight for it, thinking she'll find your mangled corpse. But instead, she'll find your fist in the back of her head and the front of her head, and then your knee in her stomach, kicking off the cutscene.
Damn it.
Or should that be kneeing off this cutscene? Wow, this game makes you ask yourself so many deep questions.
No! My destiny lies in the Chamber of Souls. I've come too close to be stopped now. I can't see you.
Final bosses are often a test to see how well you know the game, a culmination of all the skills you have built up over the course of the previous hours. Other times they take all your toys and make you cower behind chest-high walls. Rise of the Tomb Raider is one such example. After finally reaching the end of the game, Konstantin, leader of shady cult militaristic organization Trinity, gets the drop on you and steals all of Lara Croft's guns and her shiny bow. Oi! Do you know how long I spent upgrading that? Yep, after fighting huge mystical soldiers armed to the teeth, it turns out the last fight is against one dude with a gun who nicked all your stuff to make his job easier. Fortunately, Lara is resourceful and you can turn the tables by quickly building explosives to stun him. But if you don't want to spend the fight panickingly crafting behind a bit of masonry, you do have one other option. Sneak up on the bastard. In order to deal with this douchebag, simply scramble out of Konstantin's sight, gradually sneak up on him from behind or above, and stab him in the back with a climbing axe. Sorry, it was an accident. You only have to sneak up on this guy twice and dodge a single QTE attack to beat him, which, considering your last fight with him had him shooting you in a giant helicopter, is a crouch walk in the park. Although, easier than that, a crouch walk in the park would actually be terrible on your knees and get you kicked out the fun run.
Charisma's wearing a bomb vest. There are 5 other bombs around the room. Got it. Nice of you to join me, Bats.
What I love about Batman villain the Joker is all the great jokes he tells. Like the one in Batman Arkham Knight where he sends samples of his diseased blood to hospitals all over Gotham that end up infecting people with a disease that makes them look and act like the Joker. Real knee slapper, that one. One of these unfortunate transfusion recipients is Johnny Charisma, an entertainer and singer by trade.
Don't be shy. There's room up here on stage for 2.
Joker's blood hasn't made Johnny any more entertaining, but has made him considerably more psychotic, the result of which is that he has now strapped a bomb vest to himself and is demanding that Batman join him on stage to be serenaded with a little song called Who's Laughing Now?
Take it away, boys.
Take me on home to the asylum.
To ensure total enjoyment of his song, Charisma has also placed many bombs around the room which Batman is powerless to do anything about.
Never smile, joke's on you. I'm in your head, so look who's laughing now.
Luckily for Batman and Gotham and anyone with ears, Robin is along for the ride at this point, and Control will switch to the Boy Wonder for some stealthy bomb-defusing action while Batman stands still and appreciates Mark Hamill's golden pipes.
That's all the bombs disarmed. Time to take down Charisma.
Who'll be laughing then?
Once all the bombs are defused, all that remains is to neutralize Johnny Charisma so he can't set off his explosive vest, a feat that is achieved by, you guessed it, sneaking up behind him in the kind of crouch walk that only someone with quads like Tim Drake could achieve.
Dread and I can't.
Giving Batman the chance to sing us out with a final spectacular verse.
No encore?
Okay, good try, Batman, but you're supposed to stay a bit away from the mic and sort of make sounds with your mouth. Don't worry, you'll get it next time.
Time to check out, boys!
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is. Oh, did you hear that click? Oh, that was real. That was real. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more videos like this, got some here from Outside Xtra and Outside Xbox. If you want to support us further, we have Patreon. Please, I need to get my knees looked at.